guys, how the devil are you? We are back on this job for Mark. Nice builder. Yeah, he's a certain character, stereotypical sort of builder. All right, mate, you know, that sort of guy. Anyway, I want to take a few moments just because it's annoying, isn't it? When you click on a subject or something you want to watch, and then you got the guy there going on and on about himself being a Gemini or something, and going on about something other, when you just want to get stuck into some plastering, no pun intended. But yeah, just quickly before the video gets started, thanks for watching this channel, PLASTERING. I am kind of new to YouTubing. We started up, or at least got monetized the end of the summer last year, and things are going really quite well. I was surprisingly so. You know, the subscribers were going up, and then sort of like the end of Christmas, January hit, and everything goes down. I mean, I've been looking at the analytics and stuff, but yeah, it's like, oh, gee, January is such a dead month, isn't it? It's like nothing's going on. I think it's January the 24th is considered the most depressing day of the year, as when most people get divorced or just make bad decisions and stuff. Apparently it's supposed to be the worst day of the year. So yeah, January on YouTube, the figures and everything were really down and suffering, and none of the advertisers, because obviously we make some money now. Once you get your 1,000 subscribers, then you qualify for making money from the adverts. So yeah, the ad revenue goes right down because there's nobody advertising, there's no competition. So I thought, oh, well, we kept banged out a few videos, but as soon as February's come in, everything's gone straight back up again. Everybody, the last couple of nights have had like loads of subscribers again. It's just like switching a switch. So thank goodness we've got January out of the way, and we can get on and look forward to the spring and the summer. Although it has been quite cold the last couple of mornings. It was frosty this morning, so yeah, let's get those frosty mornings out of the way. We can get back to wearing cut-off jogging bottoms and vests at work. Anyway, guys, yeah, sorry, I've rambled on. Let's get stuck into some plastering, quite literally. And yeah, if you do enjoy what you are watching, then please do subscribe to the channel PlasterMaster 74. And also there is a Facebook group under the same name, PlasterMaster 74. If you come over there and you want some advice, or you want to give some advice, it's a great little place. There's a few people on there now. Yeah, come over there and I'll get to see what you look like and stuff. Yeah, come to the Facebook group. It's more involved than just the comments on the videos on the YouTube platform. All right, guys, right, let's do some plastering now. Ha! Tricked you. No, I've still got some more talking to do. So yeah, sorry, if you are new to the channel, thanks for watching. And also, this is for new customers. Thanks for all you old guys that have been watching for quite some time and been regularly commenting and giving, you know, a lot of support and stuff to the channel, and have come over to the Facebook group as well. So thanks very much for all of that. And yeah, it's been quite a good experience. So yeah, the channel has kind of been jumping between like being almost like a diary of the work that we do, the type of work we do, and what comes our way. And every now and again, if it's a bit simple, I'll throw in a sort of tutorial for beginners, just to keep the beginners happy. So yeah, it's a bit like you know, a highly successful franchise film or something that comes back, and you know, you've got to keep the old customers happy, you've got to keep bringing up something new, and also you need to get new viewers in as well. So yeah, it seems to be evolving by itself and doing okay. So there we go, just want to add that little bit before we get stuck into some plastering. All right. I'm back again. Oh, it seems like I'll just check the analytics now, because I can see the builders having a chat, and I don't need to get in just yet. I've had 5 subscribers on the journey to work. Cheers, guys. Good morning. I know, I saw. Okay, we have entered the building. Let's have a quick run around to see what's going on here, shall we? Okay, this hallway, massive great big skylight. They're on about putting a little ledge on there and running some LED lights shining up the wall. So when something like that's going to happen, you're probably going to want to play particular attention to making sure that's good, because anytime you cast a light up a wall, it'll show up the tiniest discrepancies. In here, this is going to be knocked through eventually into an extension through there. So this is probably the last sort of area that we're going to be tackling. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with this bathroom. This room is ready to be done. We was here earlier in the week, and we got a load of prep here done, so we can get going on in here. Electrician's turning up later. This is a room we did drying out. As you can see, the plaster dries in definite lines. I've gone through this before on previous videos. So it's the deeper areas that are taking just a little bit longer. But we've got the luxury of heaters on this job as well. So even though the temperature's down, we're getting some evaporation going on. So that's this room. And in here, we managed to get the ceiling done. There was quite a lot of prep and a lot of damage to get over. So this is what we've got to tackle for the next couple of days. We will see how we get on. First things first, wait for the labourer to turn up. I'm gonna get a bead up this line. Whilst we're at it, let's have a look at the surfaces we're going on to as well. So here, obviously, is plasterboard. We're going from regular board to fireboard. Fireboard is pink. And here, from previous experience, now, this is dry line. Look at all these ripples and the texture in this paint. This paint is really, really thick, and it's got a bit of a shine to it as well, which means it's probably a silk, which reduces all the suction. It's almost waterproof, you know, it's like a washable paint, if you like. So they are going to need a solution of a bonding agent, either PVA or SBR, whatever you prefer. If you're a bit of a newcomer plasterer, then I would say use PVA, and because it's good enough for something like this. SBR is a little bit overkill, if you like, and you don't want to get it on window frames or anything like that. It's a very, very harder substance, and it will kill all the suction, but there's no suction on these anyway because of that silk paint. Here we've got a slightly different deal going on. It's much more porous. This was lining papered, but you see there's a few discrepancies, holes and stuff that are going to need sorting out. So where they've ripped the coving off, look, they've damaged some of the plaster at the top. Here we've got plasterboard. So we've got different suction rates going on. Very low suction on the painted surfaces, and perfect suction for the plasterboard. You don't need to treat plasterboard at all. You can go straight onto that, unless it's the green plasterboard, and there is some of that on the job, and I'm assuming that's what they're going to put in the bathrooms. And the green stuff is for moisture resistance. I have plastered over that before and never had any trouble. But it's been recently brought to my attention, and it does say on the plaster bags, you need to treat the green stuff with thistle bondit, I think it is, prior to plastering, if you are going to plaster it, because it can fail. And from doing this channel, a couple of people have said to me they have had trouble with plaster sticking to the green boards. And look, here we go. These are the green boards here. Moisture resistance. So pink generally is fire resistant. The light grey is just a regular plasterboard. The green is moisture resistant, and you get like a bluey one, which is more like that colour over there. And that tends to be for soundproofing, and they're very, very heavy. Okay, so I am going to be putting this thin coat bead on this corner. Now I'm trying to obviously film and do things with one hand at the same time. So basically, to cut your beads, you're going to need a pair of these, which are tin snips. And as they suggest, they cut bead, like so. Now, if you've got to cut off a tiny little bit like this, it's a good idea to put that somewhere out the way, because these little bits on the floor continuously, if you kneel on them or something, they're very, very sharp. And, they're not dissimilar to ninja weapons, or they throw the stars on the floor. And I think, spiky little things, 3 little spikes that stick up, and you don't want to kneel on them or anything. And these are incredibly, incredibly sharp. And when you do trim the end, what I tend to do, especially when you get a corner, you just trim it at a bit of an angle. Okay, that can go, well, saying that, trim that at an angle. This is the machine cut end, okay, so that should be square. So why don't we put that end up against the ceiling, because the ceiling's already been plastered, look. And then we'll put that little cut end down there because the skirting board's going to go over it. You don't have to be absolutely perfect to the floor, although that is pretty close, because the skirting board is going to go over it. Now, let me just show you quickly my stapler. This is made by Stanley, I think. It's a very common design, heavy duty one. What I tend to do, because we're on plasterboard, and plasterboard's not that hard, we should, misfired. Here we go. Now that one has gone through the bead. You don't have to get it in the holes. Through the bead again. One either side. And that holds it perfectly good. 10mm staples, 12mm tend to be a little bit weak and they crumple up. 8mm don't get enough purchase into the plasterboard. 10mm are the Goldilocks. Let's have a look at these beads. So they should have been brushed back. These have been stuck up with plaster because we had a little bit going. And I think there was a bit of an issue with getting them on there, getting the staples through. And alternatively, another way of sticking up beads, because this wall had been plastered and it had a bead behind it so that the staples weren't getting through it. You can also nail drywalls into the bead and get drywall screws or screw them in, whichever way. But this has just been stuck up purely with scrim. And the only reason we've been able to do that is because this painted silk surface has allowed us to get a really good adhesion with the scrim, and then we've PVA'd over the top of it again, so it's all glued in, this one. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is get some PVA on these painted surfaces, because I do want it to tack up, and with experience from the previous walls that we've done, the PVA is really hung, so I won't mind getting that on there sooner rather than later. Now let's have a look at the PVA. I keep it in this tub and I tend to put it on a big pole. It makes things a lot faster. Here we go, there's a couple of brushes here so we can see the kind of consistency. It's a bit like single cream. He adds a little bit of water to it. Different brands of PVA are thicker, and so this is the brand we're using. Bond it, and I've got to admit, it does seem quite thin. So we're going to get a real tight coat. We don't need it absolutely sopping wet. We can really kind of dry the roller out and put a real tight coat over this low suction stuff. And the only reason I'm doing it is to physically glue the plaster to the wall. We're not killing suction or anything like that. It just, it just will allow the plaster to adhere to it, because very often if you do go over such a low suction surface, painted surface, the plaster, when it dries, will just crack and it will fall off, and we don't want that. Another good bit of advice, don't put hot coffee cups on windowsills, window boards. Okay, so I've just run over that quickly with the roller, and as you can see, the PVA is sopping wet. You can't plaster over it when it's in this condition, because the plaster will just slide off the wall, it's too wet. So ideally what they say is you should go over the PVA or plaster over it when the PVA goes tacky. And you on a really low surface suction like this, yeah, that is right. But you'll be surprised how far you can let that go. I mean, tacky is quite a subjective word. You can, it can be touch dry. Some people can say, even the next day you can go with PVA because it livens up. But if you look at the order specifics and stuff, they'll say, no, you can't do that, because if it does fail, they want to cover their back, yeah? But you can get away with letting the PVA go quite a bit further, especially if you're using it to kill suction. Okay, so first thing, I'm in this room, and first thing I'm going to do is knock up a bit of bonding. Get some bonding coat, small amount. I'm going to tidy up all these nasty, damaged areas. Get some in here, get some PVA in where the plasterboard has been damaged all along here, and probably push some through here. So yeah, only a small amount, but well worth doing, I think. Get some push through there. So these areas are very dusty. We need to get some PVA in there to kill that suction down. Just using a brush because I did go over it with a roller, but the roller hasn't been able to get inside these deeper holes. There we go. There's a small bit of bonding, not up to that consistency. Bonding is better than hardwall in this case because bonding goes off harder and it goes off quicker. It's designed for this sort of thing. So when you are doing this, make sure, I'm doing this one hand, you don't just hang it on there. You need a decent amount on your trowel and you need to really fire it in so it gets a good grab, really sticks to that surface. Okay, so we just tidied up this little area as I showed you before now with that bonding, and it looks much better, although it's still quite wet at the moment, but they've gone on to fairly sort of high suction holes, so they should pull in pretty quickly. Okay, so we'll probably get this plaster today. Being here by myself, I've put Shay the lad in another room. So really, this is the first wall that needs to be done, and you can see where we PJ'd earlier. Tiny little bit, it's ideal to plaster over. I'm probably just going to knock up, and this is where it comes down to the initial, every individual plasterer. I mean, you could knock up for this and this in one bucket and throw that on there. I mean, that's perfectly doable for an experienced plasterer. But I think in this case, what I might do is just like move around the room in time. I'm just going to knock up small to start off with, just to get that one flat wall on because it's got the lovely suction on it. And then I'm going to move on to this wall, and hopefully by that time, this wall would have had a little bit more time for these deeper bonding patches to pick up. I'm not so worried about these ones at the top because they're quite thin and on high suction stuff, so they're going to pull in, but it's these deeper ones down the bottom that are a little bit more of an issue. So yeah, we're just going to knock up separately. Sometimes it does work out, start off small gauge, and then you work your way up and start bouncing walls off of each other, and it gives you a bigger margin of error. If you knock up loads and you find it is sucking off on you and it's going off, then you've got a great big amount to deal with, and you need to drop back to the beginning. If you knock up a small amount and break it up into smaller chunks, then it gives you more windows of opportunity to go, well, do you know what, that's holding, we can push on, or oh, no, that's picking up, we need to drop back on that now. So that's all it does. It just makes things a little bit safer, and you know, you're less likely to get into trouble and start chasing, get behind the setting process if you knock up small bits at a time, although it might appear more arduous continuing to keep knocking up separately for everything, you know. I mean, if you're a younger man, you might be like, yeah, let's do it, let's chuck it on, throw it on, and run around chasing it like a headless chicken with sweat pouring off your brow. Like when you get to my age, that's not so much fun anymore. There's no use in getting older without getting a little bit more artful. Okay, so here we go. Now, I did overcook it a little bit. I forgot to mention I'm using a 20x5 carbon steel trowel to put this on. It's a rather large trowel, and the hawk is 16 inches. But this much left in there, so I did overcook the amount that I needed. I was initially just going to put that one wall on. but I had enough left over to start dubbing out all this area, which was still quite wobbly, where the old coving had been taken off, and I don't think the previous dot and dabbing on this wall was particularly good, because I did notice there was quite a bit of movement there, and I think the coving was helping to hold that actually together. So I have taken the time to put pre-coat. We'll still put another 2 coats over this, but I pulled it out to the beads. I've actually got the reveals on as well, and I didn't show you this over here. Very awkward little bit, so just to break that up and make that a little bit easier when it comes to it, I'm going to nick this off, okay, which is kind of like the size of another reveal. And the door frame, the plasterboard up there, stopped about so far away, and it was filled with foam, like so, and then scrimmed over, as you can see. So I've taken the time to get a little bit in there and get that set in and holding itself still, a little bit of bonding in there. So what I'm probably going to do now is just leave that in the bucket. I will probably leave that in there, and this stuff on my hook in the bucket, I'll wash this round and I'll mix that into the next time I knock up, which will probably be to put the first coat on this one. We don't know quite yet. Quite confusingly, there's something I call clean dirty water, or if you like, fresh dirty water, because it's only just been knocked up. So by knocking that back and putting that into the next coat, it's not going to have a dramatic change on the speed of the setting time. So when you knock into dirty stuff, old plaster, it speeds up the setting time of that bucket of gear that you've just knocked up. Now, if I use dirty water from, like say, a washing out bucket that we was using yesterday, that's dangerous stuff. That can go off really quick. This hasn't kind of like got that dangerous yet. It's clean, fresh, dirty water. So as you can see, as the light is catching it, this is how it's gone on. It's just been thrown on and left on. That's as neat as we got it. I'm gonna take 20 by 5 carbon steel trowel, which is a big trowel, and methodically come and flatten all that sort of stuff out. A little bit of residue underneath, we're going to use that to fill any holes. And I'm just noticing where there might be trail marks. And just get it as flat as we can, but don't play with it. That's what we are looking at now. We are all flattened in. I've flattened all this in, tidied all this up, like so. And also a little bit, just put a tight coat over this, so it's pulling in quite quickly. We can consider that 2 coated, and I'm going to trowel that up and just snipe that off before anything else, and that'll be done in no time. Anything with little things like that, just got to remember you've got them on, because they're really easy to forget, especially when it's out of sight like that. So what I'm going to do now is, with all this dirty water in there, well, wash it round, keep dirty water, and I'm going to knock up just enough to put another coat over the entirety of this one wall for now. Okay, here's a little tip for you that I see not done time and time again. When you need to clean your bucket out, wash it around, don't put too much water in there. Now look, if I tip this bucket to the side, I can see the edge of the bucket, and I can get right into there and clean that right off. If there's too much water in there that I couldn't do that, then you'll get a little bit of build up every time stuck at the bottom of the bucket, and the drill won't be strong enough to lift that up. So yeah, a little bit of water to start off with, clean it round, then add the amount of water that you need to knock up whatever the amount of plaster you need is. Okay, so that wall is on, the reveals are laid down, and this original one looks like it's probably ready to take a second coat. Now, as I say, I use PVA more often than not, and I remember a time before SBR was brought in, so I've kind of got it in my head to watch out and use suction to my advantage. Now the SBR guys might have SBR'd both of those walls, and then in one fell swoop they would equalise the suction on both walls to be pretty much exactly the same, and that pretty much kills all the suction. So they would have had time to throw all this on, what I've got here, although I've broken it up into little pieces, they would have thrown that all on in one bucket, because there's literally no suction whatsoever. And you know, in that case, they're right to do that if that's what they're comfortable doing. But yeah, so with PVA, it doesn't kill all the suction, it allows you to break things down a little bit. And I'm always using dirty water and stuff, so it's a bit noisy. I've got this left in my bucket. I'm going to use that, I'm going to knock that back, and I'm going to use that to speed up the process for the top coat on this. And all the while, I'm going to be keeping my eye on that, which is now considered the first coat, even though I dubbed out one of these. So that is going to need another complete coat all over again to lay it down. Okay, let's lay it down. That's all looking good, and this little bit round here is pretty much there. Let's wipe this off. Now's the point where you probably could push on and nick off another wall, although you probably want to nick off an easy wall at this point. But we're not going to do that because the builder's gone down to go and get me 10 bags of multi, and yet he is not yet materialised, so we haven't got the material to push forward. But the electricians have got the lights back on. Yeah, that's good. Right, yeah, I think we're going to have to chill this for a bit until the builder turns up with some more material. So, plastering and long hair doesn't tend to go together very well. And today, I mean, it's long enough now I can just start getting it behind my ears, but it's in my eyes and stuff, and I didn't put any product in it last night after I had a shower. So it was really flopping around everywhere and getting in my eyes and stuff. So I thought, you know what, I'll just water down a little bit of PVA, really weak PVA, and I used that as a bit of hair gel, and it's been quite effective, to be honest with you. It's done its job. I mean, it will come out in the shower. You don't want to put too strong a solution of PVA through your hair, and you certainly wouldn't want to do it with SBR if you don't want to end up looking like Sonic the Hedgehog for the next 4-5 days. So yeah, another benefit of PVA. put it in your hair if you need to. Okay, so we've decided just to get this last wall on. Overdid it. Gonna knock back into this for the second coat. It's been put on and flattened in. So I'm going to fill up the rest of the day tidying up, cleaning out boxes, etc. and prepping up for tomorrow whilst this wall's going off. Because the time is getting quite late. It's almost 3 o'clock. There we go, we've got that last wall down. So, done in pretty much exactly the same way as the ones you saw me do earlier today. Now, I've had enough of today. Time is like 4:20. It's been quite an arduous week actually. It's been quite long. It's Thursday, it's going to be Friday tomorrow. We're back in here doing some more bits and pieces. Much the same as what you've seen here today. So it's the same job. So if you managed to get to the end of this video, thanks very much. It's yeah, it's been alright. No, not really one for beginners, just more of a diary one, this one. Recently this week we've done quite a few good ones actually. We did a stair winder the week before. There's one that's coming out tonight. It'll be out in an hour from as I'm speaking now. So yeah, if you are interested in some more tutorials, beginners, there's loads of stuff on the playlist which is called Plaster Master Smurf 74. And also, I'll tell you what, I told you all this morning, didn't I? I think I did. I think I slipped it in at the beginning of the video rather than at the end. But if you're still here, yeah, have a look on the Facebook group as well, Plaster Master Smurf 74. Come over there and just join the group and have a chat. You don't have to answer any questions or anything like that. All right, so I will wrap it up here today and I will catch you on the next video. Probably record tomorrow, man. We'll see you then. All right, take it easy. Bye. Hi guys, how you doing? It's not frosty this morning, but it's not far off it. It feels really cold. Also, I'm one of these people that claims that they can smell snow, and I think I can smell snow. As soon as I came out this morning, it's up there somewhere. If you guys are a regular viewer to this channel, you will know I'm very often pumping up my offside rear tyre because it's had a screw in it for some time. They're expensive tyres and there's still quite a bit of tread on it. Well, saying that, I'll probably change them all at the same time. I went to go and get it repaired, but he said the screw was too close to the edge of the tyre, so they couldn't repair it. But yeah, you might notice I've not been pumping it up very much lately. It's because it seems to have been behaving itself. It's a little bit low this morning, but yeah, maybe later tonight after work, maybe I might pump it up then. But yeah, it's once a week or something now. It used to be like once a day. I don't know. It's got a mind of its own. Okay guys, so here we are back inside this job that we're doing for the builder called Mark. No Shay. Shay and I had a discussion yesterday. It was a discussion, and amicably he has decided to go and pursue some of his own work, which is the next step for him really. He's driving, he's got his own tools now. He needs to kind of go out and fly the coop and forge his way in furthering his career. So that's what he's doing, and we decided that's what he's going to do yesterday, and so we haven't got him for, well, until further notice really. So let's have a look what we've got to do here today. Obviously this room is complete. It's still taking a little bit of time to dry out. As you can see, if you don't know, very stark difference between wet and dry. So where it's a little bit thicker, it's taking a little bit more time. Remember, some of this wall was quite damaged, has been bonded out. Looks like that plasterboard there is retaining the moisture behind because there's no airflow. But let's have a look what we've got left to do here. In this room, it's just this one wall over plasterboard, very straightforward. In this room, we've got this painted surface and then 2 plasterboard walls left to do. So it wouldn't surprise me if I get that done today, what we just saw. And then we've got to move on, because it's Friday today, got to move on and start tackling this hallway area, which is a little bit more complicated. They're going to put a piece of timber up here, and some LED lights are going to go on top and shine up the skylight, which, you know, as soon as you start casting a light up surfaces, then any tiny discrepancy late at night when you've got the contrast of, you know, pitch black and light, if that's the only thing on, cast the light down there. You see a few videos where we've done ghost hunts where I'm doing exactly that. Turning the lights off and get the torch and shining it right down the wall. No plaster lights that to be done to it is work. I mean, when we've been doing it to this, I mean, look at the texture. This is, we don't even need to do that. The light's on, you can see the ripples in this, and this is dry lining. So that's not even plaster, that's straight onto plasterboard. And you can see that when the guys have built the place, the painters come in with a great big fluffy sheepdog roller and literally, you know, not far off, I'll text it with one thick coat of paint. So that's what we're eliminating here. So yeah, so we're gonna have to pay quite a bit of attention to making sure that those side cheeks, because the lights are gonna shine. Piece of timber here, lights are gonna shine up. Piece of timber here, well, it's a piece of timber, then we're going to plasterboard around it, and the lights are going to sit into a little cavity above, so we're going to have a little bit of a ridge which comes off, just like a little shelf, and it's going to fly up there. So I'm going to let them get on with that whilst I'm doing this simple stuff, and I'm booked in to be here Monday, Tuesday next week, so the videos, next couple of videos, are going to be all about this job. So this wall here is probably the trickiest in the sense that it's got this silk paint on it, which is literally waterproof. It has been PVA, but then we got this really porous section where we've had to fill with bonding, cavities and damage to the wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run some more PVA over this, even though it has had PVA, to try and balance out the suction, because this is going to be pulling the moisture out of the wall. This is going to be doing the complete opposite, literally just sitting there and sweating, because there's no suction at all on this painted surface. There we go, we got that first wall on, which was painted with the bonding on, and we got it on because that was the more pain in the buttocks wall to do out of all three of these walls. So we've knocked up just for that, and we've started small, and we can only get bigger and bigger with our gauge. But it's not very challenging gauge in here, so what I'm going to do now is, now that's going, that's going to be holding back a little bit. Got a little bit of plaster left around in there, going to put some clean water in there, wash it round, turn it into dirty water with the fresh old plaster if you like, and then we're going to knock up and probably just bang these two walls on. With that first gauge also, look, I've taken the time to fill out some joints and come out to the door frame a little bit, but not all the way, just because it was a little bit proud. And again, there was a bit of a deficit up there where the door frame is a little bit short and it was full of foam. So we just put fibre tape across there, and I've just filled that little gap up and this down the side and down. So let's just knock up for the rest of the room, and then we'll probably sit with it. Okay, so there we go, those two walls are on, and remember they are plasterboard and this was painted. So even though we put this on quite a bit before these, this is kind of hanging back a little bit. It's sitting there and sweating, it's stiffening up, but the moisture is not going anywhere. It kind of wants to come back out to the surface. Whereas on this plasterboard stuff, the plasterboard is going to absorb quite a bit of that moisture. So hopefully what's going to happen is both of these, all three of these walls, will eventually kind of line up together. So remember, this is the first coat for everything. I'm going to flatten these two in, give them a little bit of time, and then we're going to put a second coat on. So when I come back to check, I'm going to see, well, that's probably ready for a second coat, that's ready for a second coat, and I'll knock up a second coat at the same gauge and do all three walls, even though that one went on first and these two went on afterwards. Should line back up again with, as far as the timing is concerned. So this painted wall has pulled in a little bit faster than everything else. So I am going to add this and this to the coat and just knock up just to lay this one wall down. This is still quite wet. Okay, so that wall is laid down with a second coat and it's had a flattening with a little bit of a wet brush. Now these walls over here are pretty much ready to go. They were cooked a little bit too much if you like, but it's not an issue because we did take the time to flatten in with that 20x5 carbon steel trowel. So we're gonna knock back and get the second coat on these. Okay, so yeah, just troweled this wall up and now these need troweling up. So although they went on, it went on at different times, they're actually bouncing quite nicely. By the time I've got across that one, got under control, it's time to get this one, and vice versa. So we just see them all the way to the end. Okay, so that wall's complete. And here we go, Pete Morin. This one is for you. The state of them door frames. Alright, let's get that back. Look at that, eh? Cop an eye full of that. Okay, whilst that wall is on in here, I've got a little bit of a tidy up going on in here. And also, I'm going to start bringing my attention to this area here. So we can see we got, with the original timbers and stuff, we've got a bit of a twist. So if I line up the bottom of this frame with my eye to there and then have a look, it's kicking out. Doesn't look too bad from there, but if we go down the stairs a bit, let's try and do it again. That's all right, mate? Sure. Okay, it is. I think what I'm going to have to do there is get a regular bead on there, manipulate it and float that bottom out. Show up a bit more down there. We'll come here. No, everything's in the way. Believe me, it looks worse to the eye than it does on video. Down, mate. There we go. I'm certainly glad I'm not out there today. Okay, so we're trying to line this edge up when the bead goes up with this all the way along here, so I'll keep trying to explain. Now, what I've done here, I've kind of got matey to watch as I'm holding a bead up, and I've managed to draw a line through here, and I'm chiseling out with this multi-tool the line, so a regular bead, because a stock bead's going to flop around all over the place. So I want the rigidity of a regular bead like this, so it holds itself straight, and hopefully that is going to slot. Try to do it with one hand and hold my phone and all sorts, just like usual. So yeah, so we can get it to sit flush, but obviously, I mean, I can't see it. It's going to sit through, and I'll be able to manipulate that. There should be enough play in there that I can manipulate that and get this line to line up with that frame. So one of the good things about using staples is they're not permanent if you don't want them to be. So I've pulled that down tight. Get a staple in this end, and then because this is the end that's tight, right? This is what it's high, so this is good. Now this is the end that's low, so I can manipulate this to come up. Before I fix it in, I can jump down the stairs and see if that lines up nicely. I think he's got it. Now I've had to manipulate the bead. I can't even see that on my eye, but you can see it because I've had to trim that off to allow that timber for it to sit round. But this is just resting on there now. And let's have a quick pictures down the stairs where we're going to catch an eyeful of it. Now I've not even got staples in there. That is much better. See if we can zoom in and see what it looks like. So the bottom of that frame. Come down a little bit, bottom of that frame. Look at that, that's much better. And that's just resting up there with no fixings at all. So all that needs now is just a couple of staples in there. Hold that still. There we go. There we go, I'm quite happy with that. It looks a lot better. Okay, so I've got some scrims in the back. Coming down, rolling onto the bead, and obviously here. I've only got a staple in here and a staple in here because there's a bit of a curve in it this way as well. So I didn't want to push that in, you know, and curve it around this bit of board, which is sweeping around like so. So these scrims are surprisingly look, holding it quite sturdy. Now I'm going to have to float probably all this area in to try and straighten out with a rule and stuff. Well, because it's the end of the day, I need to get some material on this, but I'm not knocking any up. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some PVA on this and let that go off overnight. And then when I come back in the morning, that should be even sturdier for me to be able to get some bonding and stuff up there. And probably scrim it up again over the top again just prior to setting it, because skylights like that can be subject to a lot of heat, so expansion and contraction. There's timber up there that's drying out, so things like that can quite easily crack in a short space of time. So guys, yeah, I think that's probably it. I'm going to get this video together because it's like a couple of days in one video. Yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to come over to the Facebook group, which is Plaster Master Smell 74, and in the links on the channel, I've also today, somebody suggested to me, my nephew's into all this stuff, sorting out a WhatsApp community. So I've done that and I've added the link. So when you go to the channel, not the playlist, you go to the channel and underneath it says like buy me a coffee and 2 more links. If you go onto there, there's a WhatsApp link there, and you can join the community there. Just there's nobody there at the moment, only me, and all I've done is type hello. So that's all that's happening. But yeah, I mean, if I'll start posting stuff up on there, and yeah, you can chat to me like ping straight away. You know what WhatsApp does. Right guys, again, thank you for watching. I might get this up for Saturday morning, who knows, I don't know. We've got a busy night tonight and I'm working tomorrow. Okay, take it easy.